Hey everyone, this is Zan, once again playing Mekone in the multiplayer Dominion 6 game, EA Old Dogs, against a bunch of Dominion 5 veterans. We left off at the end of turn 9, so we're going to go straight to turn 10. We've got some battles lined up, not too crazy. Here we've hired Abiraj's Atavi archers to fight a horde of undead, which is probably the one matchup that these archers might be good in. And as expected, they actually hit their targets and do some damage because they're all unarmored. Exciting stuff, the beating up the undead. Now we're throwing some mystical holy water at them. The hoplites are going to come in and be mostly immune to whatever these ghouls have. Man, I didn't remember their magic resistance being so low. Huh. I've never really used ghouls before because the chances that I've had to use them, I saw that they eat population or they kill population when you summon them. So I've preferred to stay away and summon Long Dead instead. Soulless I've used before. Soulless are awful. But they're good. They're good siege strength. They're awful at everything else. Yep, just keep blessing them and off we go. That fight is over. We have another battle in Broken Lands, but this isn't a real battle, is it? Oh, this is a real battle. Because this is practically a damn throne. With 3 mages, a bunch of blood slaves, Long Dead. Thankfully I'm Mekone, and, well, I don't particularly care about independence, really, once I've got enough hoplites coming around. So, my polymer makes sure that even the lowly peltists are well armored with that last cast of temper armor. He might have taken a nap. Yeah, he's taken a nap for that, but the rest of my guys are pretty tough right now at 27 and 22 protection. This is without, bark skin or anything like that, so that's a pretty good amount of protection, I'm not going to lie. And we got to mop up the imps. If you guys haven't used imps before, imps are pretty good, mainly because they are small, have high magic resistance, fire resistant, have a lot of defense, and although this claw attack looks like there's only one, it is actually 2 attacks in one on the same target, which is what will differentiate it from maybe creatures that have claws written here twice. This has to be the same target. But imps are pretty damn good, and they're one of the better blood spells to cast normally. But their tiny claw attacks aren't really going to do much but, scrape the paint off my hoplite shields. Okay. And this guy, this Polymarch over here, Aristeus, is fighting an imp. He has not realized he's fighting an imp because he is casting spells into the Long Dead. Yeah, he doesn't even care that he is fighting that imp. That's actually pretty funny. He hasn't realized this imp is trying to scratch his armor. The sorcerers in the back, I think they're just summoning more skeletons. And again, normally, this kind of province would be a problem. Look at that, Fist of Iron. Just splats that imp. This kind of throne would be a problem, but just how tanky these hoplites are. Like, they've been fighting for a hot minute, and they're still kicking. They're fatigued out for how long they've been fighting. And most of them are still kicking. And against Long Dead that are resistant to their spears, too. So, pretty long fight, but kind of shows what Mekone is good at. We will stand right here, and you're not getting past me. That's pretty good stuff. We get an unexpected event in Dathan, so I guess freethinkers have been banned, and this is the same province with those ghouls, so maybe some like death cult people. And then some brigands and faster, because why not? So overall, we are completely boxed in at this point. Our options are to fight whatever is in here that beat up Tianchi and then risk Tianchi attacking me because this is more his province than mine, really, but I got nowhere else to go. I am already moving into Elderhill with 9 hoplites and Menotheus. And again, I want to avoid the cockatrice. I don't remember if it's the cockatrice or the basilisk. I think it's the basilisk. That thing is awful. If I figure out how to edit, maybe I can pop one on screen or the unit card for one. but those things are just god-awful because their Gaze of Death is armor negating damage in a huge cone. It's and even when you do get to go kill it, the person that kills it is probably going to die too because they have poison barbs dialed to 11. So it's 35 poison damage when you hit them. And it even specifically says if you have a long spear, the poison will run down your spear and kill you. Oh, those critters are awful. So if this has a cockatrice in there, it might have a basilisk, and I want nothing to do with that. At least for the moment, you know. Outside of that, we did have a little bit of diplomacy this turn. We spoke with Bruce, and we talked about things, and he says I can have this waste as long as he has this waste because more importantly, he wants access to the cave. I thought about it. I don't really want to fight Roos early because they have these skin shifters, which are probably some of the few units that might be able to damage my hoplites, even though they're really expensive. So maybe, although they can damage my hoplites, they cost more than them. I don't know. Maybe it still would have been a good matchup for me, but I didn't want to. The rest of the roster is okay. I'm a huge fan of early age Roos, but against the Mekone hoplites, they might tend to have a hard time other than their lightning magic. But back to the point at hand, the reason they wanted the cave, and a lot of people forget, is that these Russian wizards, you can recruit them in the caves, and they're pretty good at researching things. They're not the greatest at fighting, honestly, but they can research. And so far, you guys have seen, I'm kind of a big fan of foreign recruit stuff, just because forts are really expensive. So being able to just drop, I don't know, let's say he has 6 cave provinces in there. That's 6 commander points of Russian wizards, which is like 3 forts. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, I think. The other foreign recruit mage they have that's good is the Thunder Priest, but these are in the forests only. So that's probably why they wanted that isolated cave. And this actually kind of reminded me that I have a cave, and inside this cave are Zots. And I don't know if I've talked about this yet, but when you play Mekone, you just saw how stupid these hoplites were, right? Well, the game isn't always going to be a bunch of brawls like this, where you're just going to win because, you know, Mekone superiority. It's going to get to the point where you're going to need some of the magic that these like circle masters, for example, have: death, blood, nature. And a lot of the gameplay I do, or I will be doing, is definitely going to lean toward I need to figure out what I'm going to do after these paths no longer carry the game for me. The earth, air, fire, and water. So finding Zots is really good because Zot provinces have Death 1 Zots that can random into other paths, but I'm not going to count on that really. But the Death 1 Zots can go ahead and start site searching death everywhere. And this is just a baby way to start snaking your way into death. And the earlier you get this started, it's not too expensive, honestly. It's just, 1 or 2 mages site searching. But the earlier you get it done, the earlier you get a payout out of it. The other thing I know I've considered is where I'll be putting a fort for like indies. So like this for nature indies. So like this forest, it's got nothing, 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 and that kind of made me sad. But this one did. This one has Jaguar Tribe, so this is a potential fort province just so that I can get nature mages. Anyways, this has been a very long turn 10. So let's move on to the rest of the turns because there's going to be a pretty exciting one later. So stick around. Okay. All right, everyone. This is not the exciting turn, but this is just to kind of show you to when you go fight Zots underground, don't do what I'm doing here. You want to box formation around your commanders because although I got really lucky and they landed up here to fight the blind monkeys, usually they're going to go snipe your commander. Now, can this prophet kill almost infinite Zots? Probably. But just for you guys to know. Always square formation. Outside of that, and when I go to the map, I'm in here. I've got the Zots that I was just talking about. They're 105 gold. Definitely worth getting, worth site searching with. They can get cool randoms, but, that's not what we're here for. And again, we're going to look at the map. And I'm kind of boxed in PvP-wise, but I personally, and a lot of players don't do this, I like doing the gray flags first. So I'm assuming that Tianchi took this. He will get to Lamaria before I will, so I'm going to go ping these thrones. Oh, I guess I never set this guy to retreat. Whoopsie. So I'm going to go ping these thrones just to see what the defenders look like, because there's no way I can defend this throne just through this snake tail. And this one, I mean, I could get it, but I'm not really in the area right now other than this army. So we're going to hold off for a bit. We're going to reorganize. And I'm actually going to skip turn 12 and 13 because nothing happens. All right, so turn 14, we have 2 battles. And let's go and watch. So we've got our basic hoplite formation. We've added some peltas to our army. We're casting Temper Armors just to buff up our protection to, again, 27 and 23 from 24 and 20. That's pretty good. We've got our primary hoplite formation and a flank against a crap ton of indies at a throne. Another sorcerer throne with a bunch of blood slaves, so honestly, very similar to the province that we fought earlier this turn in the Waste that suddenly had sorcerers. A crap ton more units, but we've kind of already passed through the idea that units don't matter, or regular units don't matter against the Mekonian hoplites. On top of that, I've got a very slow-moving poor formation, trying to flank around the back to kill some of these commanders. We'll speed this up just a little bit. You know, we get surrounded, the peltas kind of sneak through and wiggle their way through the hoplite formation, kind of like little ants helping the giants fight. Probably dying in droves, but who really cares, right? Little peltists. Some of my flanking force kind of makes it to the end, but honestly, the entire front line has died before my flanking force has done anything. So I guess it was good that I did it, but ultimately it wasn't necessary because Mekone's strong. And that's the battle here at Zoglia. So I lose 6 peltists, and my 23 hoplites killed literally everything else, which is pretty cool. And I won't go out of the map yet. Let's watch High Mill. And now I move into High Mill, and I'm kind of doing the same thing where I've set a flanking force. I have my dense formation in the middle, but I also have some peltists on the side. And this is based on the information I gathered through one of the turns I kind of skipped with my commander on what formations I would be fighting. Unfortunately, it looks like these guys are gonna... I mean, I say unfortunately, I mean, this is probably the intended use of the peltists, you know, be on the flanks, throw your javelins in. I did want them to meet the militia, or with their throwing, but then I kind of wanted them to go to the back. So, it is what it is. We have our flanking force, our better one, coming along the sides. They might, again, not be as useful. Our hoplites have just pushed right through. There's a fire elemental coming in to kill all my cultists. That makes me sad. I'm kidding. It doesn't. I'm not going. I don't care. Look at that. They just ran. And, yeah. Dense formation just pushes through, bulldozes through the primary line. These archers are trying to do something, but the arrows can't find their way through the armor. And so, if I speed this up, we'll have cleaned out these wizards as well. Yeah. And so from that, we lose 5 hoplites this time, but wipe out the other throne. And that's where we get the title from, you know? 2 thrones, 1 Mekone. Because why not flex on your neighbors in true Mekone Chad fashion and take 2 thrones at once? And then not only that, let's go to war. At this point, I think this turn Urmor approaches me and tells me that, hey, let's fight Ubar because no one likes fighting Ubar later. And I think that's a great idea, so why not immediately go fight Ubar, who has cleared out the Larian swamps for me, so I don't have to deal with stupid cockatrice, whatever chicken thing is. And let's move out. What do I know about Ubar? That his pretender is the Celestial Lion, which is like a fire astral monster thing that's going to fly around and be annoying, but honestly, that's nothing that my Chad hoplites can't handle. So, looking at the rest of the map, I think I got one more province underground. I do not. I'm making Zots so that I can fight these lavaborns. And then I'm kind of hoping that nobody else is in this cave system because I completely forgot about caves until Roos mentioned something about it. But it's unlikely because I think this goes to Ermor, and Ermor we know has Sacred Sight, so he can probably go into the caves really easily. There's also a cave entrance over here that Yomi owns, and there's probably more down the line. Yomi's going to be really good in caves, and they actually get bonuses for being in caves, so they're going to enjoy that one. Anyways, we don't even know where things are in Ubar, but we're just going to march out. Whatever, Mekone does as Mekone pleases, right? Back home, we've got the water mages, the baby water mages just researching. The larger, or the better one is going to be site searching for now, because why not? And I think we're mostly done with our Cyclopes. I mean, we got really lucky. Our first three were kind of good. We got the water one. This guy has one job later, which is to craft a Staff of Elemental Mastery. We've got an earth one who can do earth things should I need later. And we've got an air one. I think we need... No, we do need one more. We need a fire 3 Cyclops, and his job is to make a flame helmet. So maybe later on I will make more Cyclops, but right now I need to make a Polymarch who's going to lead 7 hoplites, and he's going to walk out of the capital every turn or so. I'm leaving the Pelsists behind because the Ubaran troops, these Jin warriors, are very good against mundane troops, and I don't necessarily want to bring too many Pelsists initially. Maybe later. But for my opening moves, I think just Giganti hoplites are going to go out and do things. I'm going to put units on guard commanders because Shaitan are fun. And I don't think there's anything else for turn 14. I mean, what more do you guys want? That was a pretty cool turn, right? Okay. And now back to turn 15. We start finding magic sites, which is good. We have some battles. But I don't recall them being too crazy. Yeah, just some PD. I want to check something about these stupid mushrooms. I think if your giant unit steps on the mushroom, it explodes in poison, right? Huh. Maybe I'm not big enough. Wait, what did he just kill? Huh, I could have sworn something happened. Oh. Maybe a Helot died. What? Yeah, maybe a Helot died or something. Nothing important, but I don't know why that guy's fleeing. Anyways, we're going to pass through this pretty easily despite his... Oh, right. I always forget that Ubar is one of the nations that gets these Guardian Angel chicks. They're pretty cool, because they can Communion Slave and cast luck and things and Body Ethereal. Cool gals. Not very useful. And then over here in Histria, it's kind of the same deal, so I'm not even going to show you. We have some random events like flooding, which on here on Map Nuke doesn't really do anything. Flooded, as you see on the bottom here, income reduced, but like graphically doesn't really do anything on Map Nuke, which, I mean, that's okay. And we've actually wandered into Ubar's cap circle by accident. I mean, by accident. I should have been here going 1, 2, 3, 4. There's his capital. So, whoopsie daisy. Whoopsie daisy. Anyways, we're going to keep raiding now. We're just going to come off to the side. This is mostly just to siphon some of his income, and although, you know, these are kind of small raids, if I lose these forces, in theory, the income I get from the provinces I raided pay off for the units I lose. Now, granted, these hoplites are kind of expensive, so maybe not immediately. But regardless, this farmland over here looks juicy, this plains is useless, and these woods, I don't know. I'm just taking things because I can, and I don't think that he will have a force that he can send to me into the other provinces. There might be Jin hidden and stealthed all over the place, but around now I get news that TNG's fighting, I think, Sarmatia and Rus at the same time. I don't quite remember. I didn't pay too much attention. I'm doing Mekone things over here. I probably should have paid attention and maybe like sniped off these three provinces while this is happening with this army here by Aristeas. Yeah, I probably should have sniped these off, but I did not, so I can regret that later. Have I taken this province yet? No, I've not. We're still making more Zots. All right, I think that's the end for turn 15. Let's move on because we're only at the 20-minute mark. Okay, and back to turn 16. We have a bunch of battles. So these are my 3 raids, and then he actually comes back and fights me at Histria. So let's see if any of these battles involve Jin or something fancy. Nope, province defense. Over here? No. And then I'm just going to assume province defense. Yeah. Okay, so nothing special in those battles. Let's see what he rides out with. So what is he reclaiming his raided territory with? A bunch of desert warriors, a Shaitan, and a Jin Sahir. These guys are pretty good mages. I'm surprised these aren't sacred. I know these aren't, but huh. Yeah, this is gonna do nothing to me. These mages might be awful because of their lightning magic, so that might be a problem. But the rest of this, all these desert warriors, literally does nothing. So that is unfortunate, but well, unfortunate for him, right? You know? Yeah, 62 desert warriors against some nations. That's scary, but Mekone doesn't care. We notice that he's actually moved here into Orman with a bunch more desert warriors. And he's recruiting some in the Acacian Forest. They're extremely cheap. So, like, don't think that these are bad. It's just they're not very good against Mekone in general, but not a lot of things are, right? But they're recruit anywhere, and they're absurdly cheap. They come with a very good melee weapon, and then they have a short bow. And since they're skirmishers, I don't think they lose morale for being undisciplined, which is fine. They have very high map move, so it's like they're a very good unit, just not against Mekone. But granted, you know, looking at this roster, nothing he has is particularly good against Mekone, and it just be that way. Just Ubar life, right? You either stomp things completely because Jin are shenanigans, or you just don't do anything, right? So we have completed most of our raids. We're going to stack up here in Plothras and hope that 2 formations of hoplites is enough to beat up whatever he sends. We're going to move to the Monarch Woods with Menotheus over here. And then we're going to keep shuffling in reinforcements to the Golden Throne. Right, I didn't even talk about what thrones we took. Very important. Whoops. So we got the Golden Throne, which I desperately want to claim because 400 gold a turn, hello. But also because it's going to give me adepts of the Golden Order, and while I don't really care that they have fire magic, I care a lot that they have astral magic. Astral magic is important because I said earlier that we want to focus on our late game magics, and this is one of the ways to do it, especially with their crosspath, their Earth astral crosspath, because that's going to help us get even higher in astral magic, but more importantly, it's going to help us craft golems. So that's a very important checklist marked out of the game because golems on non-astral nations are vital to do well in the late game. No pressure. So I'm kind of glad that I got these. The other throne is a little less impressive right now, but it might be more useful later. So at High Mill, we've got the Throne of Dreams. And right off the gate, you're going to see it increases sloth in the province that it's in. But once I claim it, it's going to increase my sloth everywhere. And well, Mekone is a pretty productive nation. We need resources to make hoplites. So although it increases my magic scales, which is amazing, increasing my sloth is bad. And 4 gems a turn is really good, especially 4 sorcery gems. Glamour is another path that can be very useful later. It's very untested in this kind of level, I guess, of game where I'm playing a bunch of veterans, so people that should know the game very well. So in theory, Glamour is just going to be another one of those paths that I really need to focus on getting. And then it gives me another Pearl. So it's a very good throne. I can't do it now because I really need the production in my capital to make sure I am recruiting 7 to 8 hoplites, right? In the meantime, I think I'm starting a palisade in the Scorpion Cracks. I want to use the Monastery of Light to decrease the unrest of that province, and it's got decent population, and it's in a decent location. It covers my flank against, well, in theory, against Tianqi, but it looks like Tianqi is getting walloped by Rus. So it covers my flank in that direction, and also protects me from the cave, which is almost ready, almost ready to keep expanding. Uh, there's no reason that I should ever get this province here. Someone else is going to march up and take it for sure. Outside of that, I don't think there's much else. I really missed out on not attacking TNG these turns. Kind of regret that. I'm just going to go scout some of these other provinces to see what's going on there, but nothing too crazy. We're on turn 16. Let's move on and probably do the last turn of the video. Alrighties, and here we are with turn 17. This one is going to be fairly action-packed. I'm going to use Asterius to bless Otis the Potomarch with the blessing of the Godslayer, and he is going to be tasked to kill the god of Ubar. Pretty iconic and thematic job he's been given. We find the tar pits in Phalothros, which is one of the provinces we raided, and we should have a battle there this turn. But let's go down our list. We have our first battle in Zoglia, where we are being raided by some desert warriors, and I do have some hoplites to stop that. And once they charge in at high speeds, the desert warriors immediately rout, which is unfortunate that I was here to catch them. This otherwise might have worked. We have a battle in the Larian swamps. So now I'm attacked by, again, these awful Jin and Shaitan. We now have 3 Shaitan on the field. This is awful. And I've got nothing here. So I got to be careful with this this province here because Shaitan are nonsense. For those who don't know, they're nonsense because Corruptor is seduction on dialed to 11. It's a morale check against 14 on whether they straight up steal your mage. And even if they don't steal your mage immediately, odds are they're going to have an assassination battle. And Shaitan are very good in assassination battles because of Lightning Bolt, which is very accurate and it's shock damage and it stuns the person you hit. So it might not necessarily kill you in one shot. Often it will. But if it doesn't, you are stunned anyways and he will cast it again until you die. Later on, they can cast Incinerate, and that will probably just straight up kill you. Okay, so onto the Feral Woods. I'm attacked by Ubar's God, which is now the Celestial Lion. Very low paths, so it's probably just a very high scales build in the way that one of my friends, Kirby1, likes to use. But it's got Fear, it can Ethereal itself. His Bless is inspirational and magic leadership, so I guess he just wanted some of his priests to lead Jin, which is fair. Lead Jin and armies, which is, I mean, that's a fair desire if you don't really have quote-unquote real sacreds, but I think Ubar does get real sacreds. Sort of. We can talk about those maybe on the next episode because we are low on time. So moving on here, another minor raid, nothing too important. But here in Phalothros, we have a big battle. And essentially it's that army of before mixed with another one. They've got a Kahin here, or Kahin. They've got 2 Jin Sahirs to cast some shenanigans and a crap ton of Desert Warriors. I have 2 formations of Hoplites. And again, the arrows do nothing. The fireballs, though, or the fire darts and fire flies, they might not initially do damage to my guys, but they're lighting them on fire, and fire does percent damage based on your health and your size, so that can be bad. Thankfully, their armor piercing can block them with your shields, but the Jin unfortunately do fly away because they're Jin, but we find ourselves immune to arrow fire. and win the day with not too many losses. I'll say this is a good fight. It definitely favored me because these guys are so cheap, you know? There's like 700 gold in Desert Warriors and maybe 1,000 gold in Hoplites. So at this point, our palisade at the Scorpion Cracks is complete. Roos marches out, and so does Yomi to make sure that I don't grab anything because I took way too long to decide to do that. I think Sarmatia moved down as well. So whoopsie daisy, I probably should have taken a bunch of provinces over here, and I did not. I took 2 thrones at once. I'm not going to fight 2 players at once. Not yet, at least. So although I should be cautious in the Illyrian swamps, I am actually moving in with Aristeas, who has battle fright. So I'm going to move into the swamp province with a leader that has less morale than usual. This province that I know has 3 Shaitan in it. It's pro player moves, right? In the meantime, Menoetius is kind of out of position. But given what I've seen so far with the Desert Warrior spam, I'm not too concerned, so I'm fine moving him into Hystera. I'm going to chase down the Celestial Lion. Really, I'm just going to assume that the lion is not going to stay in the same province. That'd be weird. So I'm going to move in there because that's probably the safest place to go to. I'm going to send another force to Zoglia, kind of small. But I really want to claim the throne to get that money per turn. And then I'm going to split the army at Clothrus again to just keep raiding and keep up my income rising so that I can afford to temple this and then start recruiting mages and things. We are in the late summer, and that's kind of unfortunate because I really need an E4 for the next Triptea. But in the meantime, I am building a fort in High Mill to defend my Throne of Dreams, and I will eventually do the same here in Zoglia, even mid-fight if I need to. So everything's pretty good so far. So far. And with that, we'll end the video here. But actually, there is one important thing I have to say. I might have to slow down with these video uploads because we are on turn 17. And the game was progressing pretty quickly. But lately, one of the players has had to sub out. And this game in real life is on turn 48, I believe, or 47. And I don't want to go more than 30 turns ahead. I mean, I'm showing here nothing that hasn't already been shown. Players can see the thrones that have been claimed, so they'll know that I have the golden throne. Everyone's going to know that I've killed Ubar. You know, there's nothing crazy going on here. But I don't want to keep progressing because you notice I haven't really shown you my research too much or anything like that. So I might have to wait a little bit with this video, which I think works out. I don't know yet if by next week I'll be able to make more at a glance videos or go back to live streaming a little bit. But I might have to just because I don't want to progress more with this series until the multiplayer game progresses further. And I wasn't expecting the slowdown. So thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.